Good morning and welcome to Saturday in your studio. This week is a little bit different to normal because I'm out and about this week and not actually technically in my own studio, but I've managed to improvise, and so I hope that I'm going to show you a little bit of what I've been up to whilst I've been out and about, and how you can make do with whatever there is around you. You don't have to be actually in your studio to make artwork. So this is me actually preparing a stone for gilding and carving, which I showed you last week, my gilding of it, but I thought I'd show you this week, going back a step and show you the actual process from the start to the finish. So I put duct tape onto the stone to act as a kind of a stencil, if you like, and then I put a stencil over the top of that and then carve around it with a standing knife, cut around it I should say, with a standing knife to get the shape. It's a little bit fiddly, well it's very fiddly actually, because the stone obviously isn't perfectly smooth, but once I've got that stencil out of the way I can then start to really cut away with the knife until eventually what happens is you get the shape of the leaf or the whatever object it is that you want on there left, and it's stuck to the stone kind of, although it does come off. But it gives you a bit of a starting point to be able to carve your stone. So you can probably hear in the background the birds tweeting. It's a lovely evening. It's cold, but it's lovely and sunny out there. So I'm lucky in that I'm not in my studio, but I am actually outside, and the weather is delightful today. So once I've stopped with the stencil, I then begin to actually chip away around the stencil with a cold chisel and just an ordinary hammer. I'm no expert in carving, so I'm sure that stone carving, I'm sure there are people out there that will probably be flinching at the thought of me doing this now, but for me it works, and it's nothing too intricate that I create, so it works absolutely fine. I showed you this last week, so this is me now putting the size onto the leaf. Just gives you an idea of what that leaf looks like, because you couldn't really see it on the film. And then adding the gold leaf. That was a little bit trickier because we were outside, but fortunately it was a very still day. I've never tried to do gold leaf outside before because obviously it's incredibly fragile and will blow away. It's like a leaf, so it'll blow away in the wind. But I was lucky enough to get one whole piece on before any kind of wind came up, and it worked. So that done, next up is to do some painting, which I did need some kind of studio for. So I don't know whether you can see there, but my easel is actually my 2-year-old granddaughter's easel, which we bought her for her first birthday. And it has doubled up beautifully as my easel, so yeah, don't knock it, it's working really well. And I'm just doing, because I'm out and about and not actually in my studio, I'm just doing some preparatory work on in a sketchbook, the big A2 watercolour sketchbook. It's quite nice actually, it's very flat watercolour paper. It's supposed to be ideal for pencils, like watercolour pencils and things, but I'm just using a bit of anything and everything on there. And I'm having a little think about the Lowther garden from last weekend. It was very, very much in its infancy, but I just wanted to show you kind of how I go about it really. So you'll see this painting from the very start to the very finish. Not on this video, I might add, but over the weeks. So the other thing that I've done whilst I'm away from my actual studio is I've taken a photograph of the Keswick garden and of the secret garden, the herb garden, and I will work on both of those paintings on the iPad with the program that I've got on the iPad that is like a kind of paint program.
which means that I'll be able to continue working with them until I get back into my studio and I'm able to work on the real thing. It's a really good portable way of doing things, and I have actually got, after this little short clip, I've got a time lapse, a very quick time lapse of me working on the Keswick garden to give you a bit of an idea of that. And here is that time lapse of the Keswick garden. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of a flavour of what I've been up to this week, even though I haven't actually been in my garden, in my studio. This is my temporary studio. There's a walk around it there. You can just see in the background the child's mop and bucket and the sand pit in the corner. But it's a brilliant easel. It works really well. So I'd highly recommend it if you're visiting grandchildren. Thanks for watching. And tomorrow for a garden in Oxfordshire.